Okay, and Ian, I will stop admitting now, so you can take in charge and I will start presenting now. Right. So first of all, thanks very much everyone for joining us for today's introductory session on GÉANT's new event management system. This system is based on CERN's Indico system, and it allows you to register for the events, manage your own events, or even to see the calendar overview of all the community events that has been organized. Because it's based on CERN's Indico system, so this interface shouldn't be very new to you. You might have already used it for some of the community events. In fact, last year for symposium, GÉANT symposium, we have made use of the same system and you all registered using this system. So, but idea is that like this system, new system, will replace the EventR, and which was our previous events management system. And from today, we have disabled the ability to create new events on the EventR system. However, the system will continue to be live until the end of the year. And you will be still able to edit, register, or view any of the events that has been already created on the EventR. So those events will be still there and you can continue to register or edit them. But any event that's happening after the end of the year, we will move them to the new system and we will do that migration slowly. But at the moment, only the placeholder events are there to give you the calendar overview of the event, but all those events will be moved there. But I think important point to note here is if for any reason you need to collect any information regarding the past events data, then we highly advise you to do so before the end of the year, even though after that as well, we might have data, but we highly recommend if you need access to any information, please do so and save before the end of the year, because that's when we will shut down the EventR system. From today, if you need to create the events, please make use of the new events management system. It uses the federated login. And some of the training participants, like for today's session, who have already logged into the system, we have already given you access rights to create the events. But if you still do not have access right, you can always write to us on at help@geant.org to request access or any issues you are facing with the system. We have two instances actually we have three, but for your interest, there are two instances. One is events.geant.org. This is a production instance that you should make use to create the live events. But then there is a UAT instance as well, but it's just a playground. If you want to make yourself familiar with the system, or you want to try out, you want to create some test events, then by all means make use of that system. But please bear in mind that if you are creating an event on UAT instance, it doesn't mean that it will be moved automatically to the production. You have to create on the production instance the event again. So UAT is just to try out the system. I will very soon hand over to Steffi, who will walk us through the demo of this new system. But idea is that in today's training, we will be covering how you can create an event, how you can set up a registration page or timetable or agenda, and how you can make your events public or protected. Just to highlight here, we are not going to cover the payment module explanation, although it is possible to create the paid events as well using the new system, but we are not covering them because most of the community events are anyway non-paid events. But if you need any assistance with creating the paid events, do let us know. We can cover bilaterally that with you because it needs slightly more details. And just one final point before I hand over to Steffi. There is this URL where you have very helpful instruction videos regarding how you can manage events. That link is also available via the events.geant.org help menu. So quite a lot of information is available there for your use. So now I hand it over to you, Steffi, and I will stop sharing. By the way, before Steffi starts, are there any questions that you would like to ask regarding the planning part of the project? Or
I have just one stupid question. I didn't understand which type of events it is not covered. DP event? What
oh,
is
sorry, non-paid. Non-paid. Sorry, pay. We are going to talk about non-paid events today, not the paid events like a big conferences. Like for TNC, you need to pay registration fee. So those events are paid event, and those we are not going to cover in today's training session.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thanks, Mandeep. All right, good morning, all. I think we're good to go for the demo. Start the demo, Mandeep. I think so. Well, thank you all for joining this training/demo of Indico. I will walk you through the system. We'll create a couple of events together. Just to let you know, we have a manual created, which we will share after the training. So if you think I'm going too fast or you have questions, we can deal with those after the demo, but there is a manual that will be shared. And in the manual, we've explained step by step how to create an event, how to create a registration form, etc. So during this demo, I'm going to talk about lecture, meeting, and conference. Those are the three types of events that you can create in Indico. So the lecture, it's a bit confusing, but it's the type of events that we can use if you only want your events to be displayed in the list of events in Indico. So if you don't want to make use of the registration form, you just want to link it to an own website of the event, you can use lecture, and I will explain later on how to do that. Then the second one is meeting for smaller events. And then the third form of event is conference. And a conference has more features due to the complexity of the events and a different layout and a possibility to create different registration forms. I'm going to exit. Let's see. Go to the Indico page. So I'm going to start with creating an event, a meeting, because that will most likely be the form of event that will be used most. I'm playing around in the UAT environment, so it's not going live. So step one is you go to create events, select meeting. And
excuse me, Steffi, sorry for interrupting you, but we can only see, or at least I can only see your PowerPoint, not the event.
Oh, okay, good thing you're saying that. Let me just stop sharing and share again. How about now?
That's far better.
Okay, thanks for mentioning. So let's start over. So I'm going to create, first of all, the meeting. So create an event, meeting, event title, training, Indico. Select a start date and time, end date and time, the time zone. Just to let you know, these are the indicated time zones in Indico. So you won't see CET or CEST. It will always be, for example, Europe, Amsterdam, or Europe, Berlin. That's the way how the time zones are indicated in Indico. And unfortunately, that is not something that we can change in the system. The location, that's not a requirement yet. And then public is publicly accessible. The inheriting is publicly accessible, and protected is only accessible by the users specified. So we recommend to leave it on public or inheriting. Create event. All right. Then you go under settings and you fill out the rest of the information that you already have for the events. So we strongly recommend also filling out a description, what the event is all about. Save. And also contact details. Because we already had a training in July and we asked our colleagues to test around with the events and also already add events to the events list in Indico. And we missed a lot of information, like people aren't really filling out the contact details, the destination, the event description. And by not doing so, the events are just not complete in the list yet. So please fill out the event description, contact details, and if you have the destination, fill that out please too. So city, country, Amsterdam, Netherlands. And later on, what we want to add is a box when it's an online event, but that's in development. So that's safe. So I filled out the basic information, and if you want to see what it looks like, you go to switch to display view. So this is how your event will be displayed for externals. And if you want to go back into editing mode, you either click on this pencil or this pencil. Edit events. All right, we're going to set up a registration page now. So what you do is you click on participants. You create a form. All right. And before you start your form, before you make the form live, we're first going to work on the registration form. So we're going to click on configure the registration form. So by default, this is the registration form that is available, but you can play around with the form how you want it. You can add questions. You can make, for example, you can see there's a red little star that means it's mandatory, but if you feel that the organization needs to be mandatory, you can edit it, and make it mandatory, update. A mandatory GÉANT privacy tick box has already been built in the form. So we are GDPR compliant. And we're also asking people, show me as a participant list in the list of attendees. And later on, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But if you want to add questions to this section, all you need to do is here and then fill whatever you want. Like you can use a checkbox, free text, numbers. All right, so we go back. And next one up is general settings. Here you can change the title of the registration form in case you feel that is needed. For example, this is for staff only. Introduction, it's not needed or not a requirement, but if you feel like you want to leave a little bit of text, that's possible. This is for staff only. Contact details. Steffi Bosman, it's better to leave a Hotmail or a Hotmail email. Okay, moderated. Most of the times this is not needed, but if you feel that you want your registration form to be moderated, meaning that you first want to approve them before they actually get accepted and get a confirmation email, you tick this box. So when I sign up for your event, you will get, you'll first have to accept me to to be part of the list, but I'm not going to make this event moderated. And then we're going to go down here. So publish registration and publish number of registration is always on. This means that the number of registration will be shown. And I'm just going to stop sharing and show you a better example. Okay, so this is what it will look like. If people tick the box that they allow themselves to be shown in the list, this is an example. So Mandy Mosley and Vicky Visible, they gave consent to be shown as registered participants. Now the person that did not tick the box will be displayed as one other. And over here, you will always see the total number of registrations. All right, back to the registration form. When we go down, we'll leave out the price options for now. Another one is notification sender address. Always leave your email there because we're going to send, or the system is going to send out a confirmation email. And if you don't fill out anything, it will be sent out of no reply at GÉANT.org. But I certainly recommend leaving, an email address, either your own or whatever email address works for you, because people can actually contact you then. And we have created a confirmation email. It's a default confirmation email. Oh, one sec, my computer is not responding. There we go. So here you can see what the confirmation email looks like. So the information, you don't need to type anything for the confirmation email. The information will be taken out of Indico in the fields that you filled out. So the name of the event, the date, the time zone, location. The participant will get its reference number and they can show their registration. All right. Now going back to Indico. All right, we're done here. Save. I think I'm ready to go live. So what I'm going to do is look at this section. Registrations are not open yet. So when clicking on schedule, that means that you can set the start and end date of the registration periods. And these dates will be displayed on the registration page and visible to all registrants. But you can also just start it now, but that means that it's live until you indicate later on when you want it closed. So let's say we're going to start it today. Today at 2, and it needs to be at 10. All right, so it's live. So we can go back to switch to display view so you can actually see what it looks like. And of course, I made a small mistake because the date, the training is set for today. So let me just change that. It's on the 24th. Okay, so I strongly recommend that when you set up the event, first test it in this UAT environment and fill out the form yourself and check if all is set up correctly and how you want it. And also send a confirmation email to yourself. Whenever I set up an event, I test it all. So if you want to manage the list of participants or you want to see how many people have signed up, you go back to participants and then you see a list of registrations. Here it's 0 because I just created the events. But if you go into management, you will here see a whole list of people that have signed up. So what we can do is go to an existing or an event that we've already played around with. So I'm going to open the list of today's training. So edit, events, and then you go to participants. And here you can actually see 60 people signed up for this training. So I go to management or manage, and here I can see all the names who have signed up. Okay, so what can you do here? One of the things that is good to know is that you can send emails through the system to these people. You can either select who you want to send the email to, or you can say, I want to send an email to all. And then you go to actions, email, subject, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sending anything, though. Don't be scared, you're getting an email now. I would do a preview email first, just making sure that it looks good. But if you're ready to go, then you can send the email to all. All right, go back to the training events. All right, so we have our event set up. And I feel now that we need to add a timetable or an agenda. So we click on timetable. And each part of the agenda or schedule can be inserted as a contribution. So add new. And I would recommend always using a contribution. And once again, all of this information is in the manual that we will share with you after this training. All right. Then we do title. We'll talk about pets talk. Description, blah, 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 blah. Start time, 10 o'clock, and it takes 20 minutes. You know what? I'm going to talk about pets. So I'm going to search myself here. Bosman. No. So most of the people with an Indico account are already in the Indico system. But if they're not, you can enter them manually. All right, the location you can add once that is known. You can also add it later on and save. And as you can see, we have a pets talk. So let's go to switch to display view so you can see if it's all in correct order. And there you go. From 10 to 10:20, we're going to talk about pets by Steffi Bosman. All right, this is enough about this event. Let's create a conference. So the difference between a meeting and conference is there are more features due to the complexity of the event. It's a different layout of the Indico event page, and there's a possibility to create different registration forms. So for example, for TNC, we have about 18 different registration forms. And for conferences, you usually need that. So we're going to go to conferences. Conference test. I'm just picking a random date. And it's in the RAI. Okay, so we've done the exact same thing for when we were setting up a meeting. So once again, please add a description. This conference is about Indico. If you want, you can leave a URL. Save. Contact. If you have any questions about this event, please contact Steffi Bosman. Save. And I have already filled out the information about the destination or venue details. Let's see what it looks like when we go to display to or switch to display view. As you can see, it looks a bit different than when we set up a meeting. I think you can see that here. So this is what a meeting looks like. And this is what a conference looks like. Just the layout is a bit different. All right, we're going to go back into editing mode. And we're going to create a registration form. It's pretty much the same as when we were setting up one for a meeting. But here you will have a list of all registration forms. Well, there are none yet because we haven't created one. So create form, title. Well, let's start with staff. Staff only. And once again, contact details. Or if people have questions. And please fill out contact details because once again, we bumped into many events that had no contact details. So if people have questions, they have no clue how to, who to contact. It's not a moderated event, and the published number of registrations, I'm gonna tick that box on and publish registrations. And once again, only the names of the people who gave consent will be displayed. So when a confirmation email is sent out, it will be sent out of my name. So people can actually contact me if they have questions. And save. All right. The same confirmation email that I just showed you for meetings will be used for conferences too. The form is not live yet. So once again, you can decide the starting date and time and end date and time, or you can just start it now, which I'm doing. All right, so the good thing about conference is that you can, if you want, add another form too. So, or VIP. I'm not going to fill out the whole form, but I think you get the idea that you can add as many forms as you want. And then if you go back to registration, you can manage the list and you will also be able to see how many people have signed up for that specific registration form. So you can, for example, set up forms for speakers, participants, staff, etc. So I just show you how you can manage the list. So if you have people in here, like 10, for example, it's exactly the same setup as meetings. So you can select all of them or one, and you can also send them emails. You can make an export if you want all the names in Excel. That is the conference setup. And then the last one that I wanted to show you is lecture, because that will be used also a lot. It's a bit confusing, the name lecture, but we have a lot of events, for example, the RIPE events, or any outside conferences that we don't want to use the Indico system for, but we want it to be part of the list of events. Like we did for EventR, right? Because EventR wasn't always used for a registration form, but just to have it be, to have it part of the list of events. So if that is the case, you go to lecture. Let's say RIPE, and that takes place on the 30th. And it's in Berlin. I'm just making things up now. It's just to show you. And create events. Okay, so what we're going to ask you is if you go to settings and you go to description, please go to and then link. You fill out the link, blah blah blah, and there's no need to fill out more unless you have more specific details, but you save this. And it would also be very good, of course, to leave a contact. Organizers. So once again, I'll leave this one, it's fine. Okay. Let's see what it looks like. Switch to display view. All right. So they'll have the basic information about the starting and ending date and the time zone and the destination. And the link to the website should be clicked here then. And if you go to the home page, it's now included in the list of events. So that's the aim for using lecture. Okay, now we have created, I think, a couple of test events. And if I want others to manage the event, because right now only the creator of the events can manage or can edit the events. But if I feel that, you know what, I want Mandeep also to edit the events, what you do is you go to edit events and you go to protection. So as you can see, only Steffi Bosman can manage and access the events. And now what I want is, I want Mandeep also to manage the events. So I click on add user or group. Mandeep. She should be in the system and she is. There you go. Add. Okay, she has been added, but not with management rights yet. So click on the pencil and there you go. Management rights, save. And do not forget to save the changes right here. But by adding her to this list, she's now able to manage the events. Okay, so this is pretty much it for now. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I don't want to give you an overload of information, but once again, all this information is in the guide that we will share with you afterwards. And I strongly recommend you just play around with it in the test environment. And I will always be available for question and also the development team. Are there any questions so far or concerns for Goran?
A quick question, Steffi. You said playing around in the test environment and that. The test environment is actually the UAT environment, I understand. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No, I have two questions. Can we use it for our own RAN events? The first one, and the second one, can we customize it in banner-wise or logo-wise, the emails that we send and the event, put the event logo or something like that?
So the answer to your first question is yes, you can use it for your own events. Absolutely, that's what the system is for. Customize, I let Mark/Mandeep answer that question.
Actually, sorry, Mark, you want to go ahead? Go.
I was going to say yes, on each conference at least, you can add, if you're the manager of that conference, you can add customized HTML to make the page have your logo in, your pictures in, etc. And there may well be an example already on production with that in there. But you have to manage that yourself as the manager, and you have to provide your own images and that sort of stuff.
This is Laura here. I think we did that with the EPEC 2019. So if you wanted to show that as an example, I think you can see that there's a logo there.
I'll let Steph show that.
Okay, one sec, I need to search it, but we've done it for TNC too, so it's definitely possible. It's the older, which one are you talking?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I asked if the changing of the visuals is covered in the menu that you will send us later.
If the what is covered? Say it again.
These customization options of visual identities, is it covered in the menu?
No, it's not. No.
If you wanted further information, that we can chat in another meeting, and I can share it to you because it is what I'd call advanced stuff rather than basic stuff. But there's the example which Steph is now showing on the screen.
Yeah, I think, can you see it now? Can you guys see it an Indico screen?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
so this is the EPEC. So yeah, this is custom made, right, Laura?
Yeah, so that's got the logo, but the actual background banner color is also, that's a tone of, it's like a lighter tone of the orange, so we customized that as well. And
Yeah,
I don't remember how we did it, but it wasn't complicated. If I did it, it wasn't complicated.
It's just adding some CSS and or a template and an image when you create the event. It's in, I think, the advanced options on the manager menu when you edit the event. But again, I think that's for perhaps a different training session to do that.
Yeah, I think we really go and focus on the basics this time. But if you feel like you want to customize your event a little bit more with design or whatever, just contact us and we'll help you figuring it out.
Okay, thank you.
That's a question in the chat, Steffi.
Oh, sorry. Is it possible to check in for an event in order to know how many registered people actually participated in the event? Well, I think you need a little bit more tools for that, because what we've done with TNC, I mean, we actually have scanners and e-tickets with barcodes, but that's a whole different ball game to set that up. And so once we scanned somebody's tickets, you know, they appeared in the list of that people were in, but that is not something that we offer at this stage. You really need equipment for that.
Actually, Steph,
but correct me if I'm wrong.
Sadly, I think you are wrong. On the event, when you open the event to register, before you register, it tells you the total number of people who are already registered, i.e. number of participants, which answers that question.
No, Mark, I think what they mean is, so not people who are registered, but when you turn up on the event at the day, Nicole turns up at the door, Nicole is picked and registered in. I think it is possible to get that functionality as an additional app, but it's a bit more complicated and would need a little bit more work.
Or I misunderstood the question.
Steffi, when you were creating the registration form and choosing whether or not to display people who've registered, there was a third thing that wasn't checked, and that was something about checking in, wasn't it?
Let me just double check here. One sec. I'm going to go into the form. Yeah, so the first one is publish registrations. And then the second one is publish registration number. And then the third one is publish check-in status. But that's just something that we can't offer right now, because like I said, you need to my knowledge, you need scanners for that. That's a little bit more advanced.
There is one more question, Steffi, in chat regarding if it is possible to limit the number of places or participants for an.
Yeah, let me just share my screen with you guys once more. So to answer that question, there is, as you can see, limit registration. Well, there is a limit of your registration. Yes, and capacity, so only 50 people can sign up. And of course, save. So there is.
So once the 50 participants register, the form will auto-close?
I would think so. I have to admit that I've never used that functionality, but I would think it closes after 50 then.
There is one more question. Can it be used for a specific organization in terms of participants only from that particular organization or country can register for the event?
To make sure participants are from one organization or country, I would go back to moderated then. If you want to make sure that only a specific audience attend your event, then definitely use moderated. We've used that before too. You just have to keep an eye on the list of registrations because they are pending, and you'll have to go back to them and actually accept them if you feel that they're part of your audience. So I hope that answers your question, Marta.
Steffi,
and Nicole's basically answering to that too.
Steffi, I was just going to say, if you want to show an example, if people want to see that, then we also used a moderated form for the EPEC conference, if you wanted to show that. I don't remember which of our forms it was, but...
I hope, I'm not sure if you've accepted already, everyone, but I can definitely look into it. One sec. I am searching for it. Yeah. Okay, I will share my screen because I found it. Share screen, and so this is the list of participants of the EAPEC conference in 2019. So you can see the state of their registration, and here you can see pending. That means that this registration hasn't been approved or rejected yet. So registration awaiting manager approval. So that is the creator of the event. And you can either approve or reject this person. But I have to say, you need to double check, and please contact us if you want to make use of this. You'll have to set up a different communication behind this too. So if you reject, it doesn't mean that automatically this person will get a rejection email. That is something that you need to set up then. And I believe you can set it up here under, well, depending on what's registration form you made it moderated. I'm not sure. Edits. So let's say yeah, I'm not so sure where the rejected. I'll have to dive into that one, but that is an example of showing you what it looks like when you accept or reject. It's something that we don't use a lot. We've only used it for free tickets for TNC and I guess for EPEC too. But it's something that you can set up for sure. But once again, all the forms that you set up, please test it to make sure what kind of communication they get and if it all works out.
Yeah, you can't break UAT, so play around as much as you want to.
It's a challenge to be accepted, Mark.
Oops.
Right. Any other questions? Right.
Yeah, I think once you start playing around with it, or you're actually using it for one of your events or conferences, I think that is the moment when all the questions will come. But please feel free to contact us and we're there to help you.